Street TV on YouTube. Share the live. The Street 919 FM.
News from the Street, 919fm.com. Here's what's happening.
Good afternoon, I'm Chanaka Phipps, and this is the news on the Street 919 FM. In the headlines, Minister blames citizens for murder toll. Man killed in home invasion. Mother and father pay in court for daughter's murder. Minister to host peace walk. Former senator dies, and internationally Israeli forces says they killed 3 militants in the Strip on a Thursday. In your news, some blame has been handed over to citizens, says the Minister of National Security, as the murder count has crossed 500. Hines and Minister in the Ministry of National Security, Keith Scotland, have faced criticism from the escalating crime rate, which hit the grim milestone on Tuesday. Experts are now predicting a record 650 murders by year-end. In an interview yesterday with the media, the minister stated responsibility for crime does not lie solely with the authorities. He argued that criminals operate with impunity partly due to public complacency. It is the very Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, with a few exceptions, who are responsible for the violence of which we all complain. So the very society that is affected by it is the very society that has produced and nurtured the children and those others who are perpetrating the levels of violence that you raise with me now, reflecting 500 murders, he said. Hines said he hoped for the opposition support to pass legislation aimed at tackling crime, echoing the sentiment expressed by Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley during his budget contribution last Thursday. Hines admitted the criticisms directed at him and Scotland and suggested that such expressions of frustration stem from genuine concern. In more news, Ramjag of Gorata Hill, Maracas Royal Road, St. Joseph, was killed by thieves after they confronted him during the break-in at 3:40 a.m. yesterday. Neighbors who were in shock of the horrific incident described the victim as real good with everyone in the tight-knit community. Ramjag, who was believed to be in his 60s, was described as a friendly, easygoing person who could always be counted on for anything. He was well known for operating the family-owned Gorata Mini-Mart for more than 40 years, and his killing left relatives and neighbors stunned. Relatives were unable to say exactly what was taken during the robbery, except for an unknown quantity of cash and jewelry. They said the bandits broke in downstairs and vandalized the cash register, and once inside the mini-mart would have had easy access to the living quarters upstairs, where Ramjag and another relative was asleep. The business remained closed yesterday, and relatives were uncertain about what would happen with it moving forward. In more stories, police prosecutor Inspector Ashley Mangru made the revelation during the couple's first court appearance before High Court Master Sarah De Silva yesterday morning. Mangru claimed that homicide detectives were relying on the evidence of 26 witnesses, post-mortem and DNA analysis reports, and fabric, including a sheet that her remains were allegedly found wrapped in. She claimed that they were also relying on 2 statements from Alana and 1 from Andrew that were recorded while they were being interrogated by detectives. It is based on utterances made by the accused and other witnesses. It is mostly circumstantial evidence, Mangru said. Andrew, 66, and Alana, 63, both of Butu Road, Valtane, and accused of murdering their 18-year-old daughter on an unknown date between July 8, 2017, when she was last seen alive, and March 13th this year, a day after her skeletal remains were unearthed in the backyard of the family's home. The couple, who made their virtual court appearance from a holding cell at the Tunapuna police station, was not called upon to plead to the charge. The wife, who seemed impassive while her husband gave sarcastic faces and smirking, he got up to inform Master De Silva that he was not hearing her via video conferencing. He even briefly smirked while addressing the court. While Master De Silva remanded the couple, she advised them of their right to apply to a judge for bail. Meanwhile, in news, a peace walk that will be hosted by the Ministry of Education Student Support Service Division, which will take place on October 18th with the theme Non-Violence, Safe Communities and Safe Schools. The walk begins at Queen's Park Savannah's Paddocks from 8 a.m. A ministry statement said the event would coincide with the UN's International Day of Non-Violence and was in keeping with the ministry's cultural transformation policy as it continued to foster a culture of non-violence in the country's schools. The ministry expects schools from Port of Spain and environs to participate. Issues of school violence were major headlines over the last week. The issue was most glaring following the death by suicide of 15-year-old Jaden Lalchan. Police also said in media reports there was an increase in reports of bullying following Lalchan's death. There is an ongoing police investigation into Lalchan's death. In other news, Tobago is mourning the loss of former Senator Cynthia Alfred, who passed away on Tuesday at the age of 84. Alfred, Tobago's first female Deputy Chief Secretary, served from 2001 to 2009 at the THA and was a passionate and advocate for the people of Trinidad and Tobago. She contributed to debates in Parliament as a PNM opposition senator from 1997 to 2000. She then became the THA Assemblyman representing the Bacolet Mount St. George district after success in 2001 THA elections. The Division of Tourism, Culture, Antiquities and Transportation described Alfred as a beacon of creativity who inspired generations in the culture arts. In a release, the division said Alfred was known for her dedication to preserving Tobago's rich heritage. PNM Tobago Council political leader Ansel Dennis said the office of the Chief Secretary also paid tribute, celebrating her lifelong contributions to politics, culture, and education. Dennis said Alfred's legacy will be remembered for years to come. And internationally, the Israel Defense Force and Israeli security agency said Thursday they are checking the possibility that Hamas leader Yahya Sinwar was among 3 people killed in Gaza Strip. At this stage, the identity of the terrorist cannot be confirmed, the IDF wrote in a post to X. At this stage, the identity of the terrorists cannot be confirmed, the IDF wrote in a post to X. In the building where the terrorists were eliminated, there were no signs of the presence of hostages in the area. The forces that are operating in the area are continuing to operate with the required caution. The 62-year-old has served as Hamas leader in Gaza since 2017 and assumed leadership of the group's political bureau after the assassination of Ismail Haniyeh in Iran in July. Now let's take a look at the sport and weather report. Thomas Tuchel was hired as England coach on Wednesday and tasked with the challenge of ending the national team's decades-long wait for a trophy. The German, who previously managed Paris Saint-Germain, Chelsea and Bayern Munich, has signed an 18-month contract that begins in January and runs through to the 2026 World Cup in the United States. By then, it will be 60 years since England won its only major trophy, the World Cup in 1966. 14 different managers have failed to break that run, with Gareth Southgate coming closest by leading the nation to back-to-back European Championship finals before stepping down in July. Champions League winner Tuchel has delivered silverware across Europe and laid out his intention to emulate that success with England. In more sports, Serena Williams says she had a benign bronchial cyst that size of a small grapefruit removed from her neck, and all is okay. The retired tennis star, who turned 43 last month, posted Wednesday on social media that she found a lump on her neck in May, had an MRI exam, and was told she didn't need to get it removed if she didn't want it to. So she didn't then, but it kept growing, Williams said. After more tests, including a biopsy that was negative for cancer, Williams said her doctors said she should have a procedure done. She showed a video of herself in a hospital bed and wrote, "So this is me removing it. I am feeling so grateful and fortunate everything worked out, and most of all, I'm healthy." Williams announced her retirement famously that term as saying instead she was evolving away from professional tennis shortly before playing in the 2022 US Open, her last tournament. And that's all for sport. Now let's take a look at the weather. For the period this afternoon and tonight, Trinidad and Tobago and the windwards, mostly hot and sunny conditions despite a few isolated showers. There is a medium chance of the isolated heavy shower or thunderstorm favoring Trinidad during the afternoon. The night will be fair, gusty winds or street or flash flooding can occur in the event of heavy downpours. In the leewards, generally fair, initially becoming increasingly cloudy with occasional showers and the chance of isolated thunderstorm for the evening and overnight. In our temperature, last night we had a minimum temperature of 25 degrees in Trinidad and 25.8 degrees in Tobago. Our maximum temperature is 34 degrees in Trinidad and 33 degrees in Tobago. Our seas are slight to moderate, waves of 1 to 1.5 up to 2 meters in the leeward and open waters, and below 1 meter in sheltered areas. Recapping the headlines, the minister blames citizens for murder toll, man killed in home invasion, mother and father appear in court for daughter's murder, minister to host peace walk, former senator dies, and internationally Israeli forces says they killed the 3 militants in the Strip on a Thursday. And that's all from me today. Thank you for joining me. I'm Shanaka Phipps. Do have a blessed day.
News from the street. News from the street. 919fm.com.